everybody has an opponent. Everybody has something. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
Right.
You think about big pharma, Western medicine, and things like that. Right?
Yeah, right. My mom actually does that diet, and it's worked really good for her.
You have been following me since September, right?
Yeah.
Since September, or my last, traumatic brain injury, memory wiper injury, whatever you want to call it, you can track progress. But it's literally, I put myself in ketosis all the time, right? Like you said, you've been following since September. That's relatively new, but there's kids that have been following since like 2009. You imagine, the progress you can make if you just tried it.
Yeah, man. I've been thinking about it. It sounds something like I'd be willing to do.
I mean, you think about in NASA, any international space program, we send you to space, and you don't have your family, your pets, nothing that keeps you sane in your life. We know that environment leads to anxiety, depression, and suicidal tendencies, and we don't give them prescriptions. We remove sugar from their diet, and we make them exercise for 30 minutes a few times a day. It's the number one most successful thing you can do for any neurological problem. If you have medication-resistant epilepsy, right? Then we tell you, well, actually, your body will fix it. If you have medication-resistant depression, right? Medication-resistant any neurological problem, stop eating sugar. In neuroscience, if you have a traumatic brain injury, an aneurysm, anything damage to your brain, we heal it by removing sugar from your diet. Now, if we know we can grow new neurons in somebody that's had a traumatic brain injury or an aneurysm to repair things, create a new neural pathway for to replace the old neuroplasticity, why wouldn't we teach kids that?
It's crazy. They want to keep us dumb. Right.
But you think about heart disease. If I had heart disease as a secondary illness, and I had a medication-resistant epilepsy, and they put me on a ketogenic diet for my epilepsy, I would cure my heart disease. If I had kidney failure or liver failure, and I had a traumatic brain injury, and they put me on a ketogenic diet for my brain injury, my kidney disease and my liver disease would miraculously heal itself. It's highly fascinating. When you think about how crazy that is, you get a lot of healing of secondary illnesses and diseases, trying to treat medication-resistant neurological problems just by removing sugar. What happens to you when you remove sugar? Your body cannibalizes your damaged cells. What's kidney failure, liver failure, heart failure, aneurysms, any of that stuff? Damaged cells.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right. Well, you think about it. What is a disease or an illness? Damaged cells. How does my body remove damaged cells? 100% of the time. Stop eating sugar. If I stop eating sugar, my body is forced to remove damaged cells because they waste a lot of energy and grow new ones.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, it actually is. I like hearing you talk about it.
Yeah, you think about it. It works. You've been following me since September. Kids have been following me since 2009. You have no idea how many times I've had to start over. And they watch. Right. They watch. I had somebody asking me, say they saw me get dumped out in Tacoma. I had a really bad traumatic brain injury and got dumped out in the street in Tacoma. It's so hard to repair, but it's repairable.
Yeah.
It works. But seeing is believing. That's what's important.
Yeah. It's cool, man. You're a really tough guy. All the stories you tell, man, they seem like,
not very tough.
Real shit.
Not very tough. I have autism, and I have a repetitive, buried deep down inside me to do ketosis.
Right.
Literally, that's the only. I don't. You know what I mean? It's just in me. My stimming is literally the prescription that everybody prescribes at the top of Western medicine if you don't want to take medication. My stimming is what every intelligence agency and military does to bring their new recruits into peak performance. When my wife's gone, I will do push-ups and sit-ups all day long. I like it.
Fuck yeah,
Most
man.
people don't like it. But, I mean, you're drinking raw eggs. Before you were born, you were just a sperm and an egg. You needed all the amino acids and vitamins in a raw egg to grow your organs and your brain in the first place. Without sugar, common sense isn't so common. I didn't need fruits
True.
and vegetables to get here. I needed all the vitamins in just an egg. I needed some fat, some protein, and nutrients in an egg. And if I want, and we know today, if I replicate exactly the nutrients I had that on my creation,
Mm-hmm.
my brain will grow new neurons. My kidney will heal itself. My liver will heal itself. My heart will heal itself. My muscles will repair themselves. But if I want you to take medication, I make sure you don't know that.
Right, right. That's crazy. So, like, starting a ketogenic diet can pretty much solve most problems in someone's life.
Yeah, just study autophagy, apoptosis, and neurogenesis, and what induces it. What induces cannibalism and suicide of damaged cells and growth of new neurons? Right. So you think about, regardless of what anybody tells you, we know there's these things called autophagy, apoptosis, and neurogenesis, or cannibalism and suicide of damaged cells and growth of new neurons. So it doesn't matter what anybody tells you about diets or medication or anything like that. In human biology, we know certain things that you do to yourself will induce that. And if I cannibalize my damaged cells, my body has no choice but to create new ones.
Right. Cool.
What's up, Lewis? There's Lewis. He's been following me for a long time. He followed me when I was doing, you talk about a multitude of tour guides. I did a thing for online predators.
Mm-hmm.
Was it summer before last? 3 summers ago. And
Yeah.
we found him. But he's learned a lot and come a long way.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I do all kinds of weird hobbies.
Yeah. Well, tell
Do
me
you have any
about
other
your hobbies. What do you like to do?
I do a lot of stuff on the internet with kids, teaching things. I've always done things for children. My whole life I did, from 17, I had a job where I helped women and children do things, and I got taught a lot of things. I learned a lot of things, and I've always passed on that knowledge. If that makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Pass it on.
Yeah. That's cool. So you were in the Air Force, right?
No, I got free education.
What does that mean?
I got free education. This is what it sounds like. I got free education, a free EDU.
Free EDU.
Free education.
Yeah.
So when me and my wife got married, we went to get married, and a judge told us there was no way in hell they would allow us to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And her dad was in the Air Force, and made some calls or whatever.
Right.
And they went and sat down with the judge and had a conversation, and they said if I would do certain things, would he change his mind? And the judge said if I did certain things, he'd change his mind. So I went and did what I needed to do so that they would change their mind and allow us to get married.
Dang, that's cool. When did you get married? What year?
Officially on the books, 1996.
96?
Yeah, I'm an old man.
Really?
Believe it or not, I'm 43 years old.
You're 43?
Yeah, I'm old as heck.
Holy shit. I
So,
thought
yeah,
you were like 30, man. You look great.
No, you think about the Nobel Prizes for DNA repair and reverse aging, your telomeres, right? You think about where that information comes from. If you ever read C.S. Lewis books, right? The 7 Lords of Telomere,
Mm-hmm.
right? Fled the main body during the Great Feast, right? The 7 Lords of my telomere would be the 7 ketones that make up ketones.
Right.
Right, and they actually gave out Nobel Prizes to people for proving it's real, which is quite fascinating.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know today in space, right? You stop aging in space because we say there's this thing called time dilation.
Yeah.
Right, so you stop aging in space, but we know in space they do HILT training, which is fascinating. You purge sugar from your diet to prevent neurological problems. And you're
Mm-hmm.
creating ketones that we know repair the plaque at the end of your Telomeres are the home of your chromosome. Plaque at the end of your telomeres prevents toxins and things from causing improper gene mutation. So we know in space they do this thing called high-intensity exercises, or periods of time where their body's burning more sugar than they can produce, so they have to use ketones. We know on Earth, Elizabeth Blackburn and Dr. Thomas and all that for telomere and DNA repair won Nobel Prizes, the top prize you can get in Western medicine, by proving you can repair anybody's DNA and repair a telomere or reverse age somebody, like in space on Earth, by having them do high-intensity exercises and limit the amount of sugar they consume.
Right.
But I mean, if you want a lot of people not to know that, you tell them, well, it only happens in space.
Right.
Right? I mean, we know, everybody today knows, you go to space travel, you age slower. They don't really tell you, you know, time dilation. They spent time dilating the home of their chromosome. They spent time feeding their telomeres pure ketones. It repairs the plaque at the end. Right now I eat fruits and vegetables, and the plaque at the end of my telomere has to allow glucose to get in there, right? So it can feed my mitochondria, so I can make ATP. So that doorway to my telomere has plaque that keeps out toxins, but it also has to let sugar in, glucose, to feed them. If my glucose is contaminated, that plaque has to let some of that contamination through, which punches holes in that wall. Pretty soon I get a lot of holes punched in that plaque, and then I get improper gene mutation. We know ketones flush all those toxins out that get caught in that plaque. It cleans the plaque or the doorway. It repairs the holes in the door that allow energy into your mitochondria and your telomere.